Before I did this video, there should be one posted on my channel about using an MP3 player, or what MP3 player I use on the trail. And so I wanted to do a separate video of what headphones I use on the trail. It might seem kind of like a silly video to do, but I do know that a lot of people bring, whether it's the phone and headphones, some kind of combination on the trail. So I want to show you what I use. First, the reasons why I chose these headphones is because when I was wearing normal earbuds, well, first of all, wearing the over-the-air headphones on the trail is just kind of silly. So you end up with some kind of earbuds that just hook in or go over the air. And inevitably in the summertime, I don't like that sweaty sort of feeling that sort of occurs in your ear when you got plugs in there. The other thing that's awful about it is that if you have those in there and you come upon someone on the trail, you can't hear what they say. And it's also, I don't know, it's like taking them out to talk to the person. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is I have with that one there, but I don't know. There's something wrong with it. That was a weird babble, but I'll keep it in there. So I was doing some research on headphones and I came across these. These are called Aftershokz, and the Shokz is spelled S-H-O-K-Z. And they are bone conductive headphones, I believe is the official word for it. So what happens is they don't actually go in your ear. They rest right on your cheekbone, and the sounds, without getting technical, the sound basically goes through the bone and to the part of your ear that picks up the signal. And so what it allows you to do is listen to the music and hear anything that's going on around you. They've been really great so far, and a lot of the reviews that I looked at beforehand were by either people who had websites who obviously had some stake in saying something positive about them, or some kind of professional reviewer who obviously either got them for free or you tend to. I was looking for just some normal person to tell me they work. So if you consider me a normal person, I'm telling you they work. I was absolutely surprised at the clarity of them. They are not anywhere close to professional grade. You do lose out on some of the bass. But for just listening to some everyday sort of music, they're not audiophile quality. If you're listening to podcasts, they're absolutely fine. But this allows me to, if I do want to listen to something on a trail, I could come upon somebody and go back and forth in a conversation without having to be like, oh wait, I can't hear you, and take out my headphone. Also, the one thing that I like about them, I'm scared of one thing while I go backpacking, or I should say one thing creeps me out. And that is if I'm at night in my hammock, or before that in my tent, I never used to like putting headphones on and kind of just like blocking out the rest of the world. For some reason, it always creeped me out. The visions of something creeping up on me just always came into my head. And so this allows you to hear the music or hear the podcast, but it also allows you to hear the crickets and the frogs and the wind as well. And it really is a cool experience. So I'd highly recommend them. I know some people don't think this is a pricey thing. For me, I would consider it a pricey thing. It's $50, and that's for the wired set. It does have this little bit at the end where obviously it gets charged, but otherwise it's not too intrusive, and I don't really notice it that much. It's supposed to go for 12 hours at a time. Again, I've never killed the battery on it, so I don't know how accurate that 12 hours is. I know a couple times I've gone out and used them, and I thought to myself, I must be beyond 12 hours, but I don't know. So 12 hours is probably pretty accurate. They're 1.4 ounces, and I think that's about 40 grams, so they're not very heavy. And as far as listening to music on the trail goes, so if you only wanted to hear about the Aftershokz and the headphones, you can stop the video. Here's a little bit of soapbox about music on the trail. I know there's people who are like, oh, it's okay to listen to music. And I've heard other people on videos saying that, listening to music is ridiculous. Listening to music, takes you out of nature and everything else like that. I have absolutely no issues with it. If it's someone who is just getting on the trail and music allows them to get into that flow and make them a little bit happier, if music allows them to feel a little less alone, I know a lot of people don't like going out into the woods because you're all by yourself. But also, I think that music can really add to the vibe that you feel out there. Just like I'm not someone who meditates, I'm not someone who does yoga, but like with things like that, if you have music on in the background, it kind of like adds to the experience. And I know that sometimes I'm not going out for a hike, I'm not going out for a backpacking trip to necessarily be in nature. I know that kind of sounds somewhat silly. Sometimes I'm going out just to be with myself, be with my own thoughts, and just to kind of like have not wide vision, but to have very narrow vision. And instead of, I have a job where I'm always focused on a million things. It's not a job that I leave behind at work. It can be something that I could think about it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so one of the reasons why I like going running, hiking, camping, backpacking is that I can become very narrow in my thought. And sometimes putting on music, especially putting on a podcast, allows me to kind of get rid of the outside world and just focus on what is directly in front of me. Also, I think before people, make a judgment, I live in the middle of the woods. If I turn off this video within can I do this? You ready? Within 3 minutes, I think you can probably see that. That is my backyard. And it's hundreds and hundreds of acres of woods. I can go that way a couple of minutes and be on trails, that way a couple minutes and be on trails, or just I have trails in my own backyard. So at every single day, I get to go out and, be in nature and relax and hear the birds and look at the deer and watch the turkey poults running across the trail. So again, for me, it's not necessarily getting back to nature. It's just kind of leaving my house and my job and my worries and my responsibilities behind. And sometimes throwing on my headphones helps me do that. While I hike, I don't often use them very much, but I love listening to them at night. There's a certain podcast called Sound Exploder. I love listening. I never listen to it anytime other than when I'm backpacking, because it is one of my favorite things to do is to just be rocking in my hammock. I can still hear the frogs and the crickets and the wind and listening to that podcast. So I kind of save them all up for each one of my trips. So they're called Aftershokz. They go for around $50. They only weigh 3 or 4 ounces. You do have to charge them up. You can't just plug them in. It lasts, again, about 12 hours or so. And if you can, want to pay the extra money and you happen to use them for your phone with a Bluetooth, I think if I ever had to do this again, I would get the Bluetooth version. I would even, if I use a regular MP3 player, I would buy a little Bluetooth extension for it probably, because sometimes, I don't know, especially in the heat, I don't notice it in the winter and the fall and spring. Sometimes in the summer, I don't know why, when I'm sweating and stuff, the wire just gets annoying for no reason other than, I don't know, I don't even know the reason. But if you can go Bluetooth, you might as well go Bluetooth. And they do work a whole lot better than you'd think. Every time I've put them on someone, they've been absolutely shocked as to how good they are. So there you go. Aftershokz headphones, recommend them. That's it.